think it would be pretty funny if I drove a rental Mazda across America in 59 hours on my dating profile, even though I don't have a Tinder or DJI account yet. But that's not the reason I did this. Okay, it might be partially, but I want to tell you a story of how a guy drove 2,826 miles in 59 hours just for himself before the 30th birthday. And how did it feel to drive that long if this is what you're up for when clicking on this random video? So hey, this is Ho Tian. You're watching my personal channel. Anyway, welcome to the club. So some backgrounds. I'm a software engineer in the Bay Area. I know. It sounds boring with all the tech bros stereotypes. But I also write blogs that I ran for the last 12 years. I shoot film. I also like car culture. Although recently I was more of dealing with a parking lot hit and run, and I'm currently doing the other guy. So every April and May is the busiest time for me because I need to prepare for software releases for a local food company. And well, you can only do that many things at the same time, and me being multitasking between daily work, a developer talk to deliver, and writing demand letters to Progressive asking for my hit and run money is pretty bad. I stayed up late and did a lot of stress eating, and in between meetings and restaurant breaks, I said to myself that I need a good vacation in June. And I always wanted to revisit Hawaii, but somehow at one night when I was waiting for my code to recompile and just watching YouTube, I saw when Vicky interviewed someone who did the Cannonball run with a car less than 100 horsepower. It's called Basketball. So for people who don't know, a Cannonball is basically someone driving a car from Bradford Garage in New York to Portofino Inn in Los Angeles. That's roughly 2,800 miles. The world record was 25 hours or so, done by crazy guys with modified gas tank, powerful engine, laser jammers, etc. It was also during COVID with empty streets. As for basketball, the poor man's Cannonball, well, you don't expect bigger Prius and Hondas to be that fast. Most Cannonball and basketball runs are teamwork. You can do it solo, but really there's no benefit, unless you're like me, who texts a bunch of friends asking the video and wanted to do a Cannonball himself. Well, let's just say tech bros are not usually the best guys to reach out for Cannonballs. But to be honest, neither of my friends are young anymore. They have jobs too, sometimes girlfriends or even wives. And so there I was, a 29-year-old, renting a house, meeting on Hill City. Just got broke up a few months ago. Not exactly a stereotype, but dangerously close. And what a settled guy would do? Well, initially I was going to find a cheap used car in New York and drive it home to West Coast. Imagine walking into a used car dealership in suburban New York or on Long Island. The guy saw you and asked what do you want, and you said a Sub 93 wagon or a BMW E39, and you just pay in cash without inspection. And the guy was confused and asked what are you going to do with the car? Is it for Uber Eats deliveries or running taxis in the airport? And you look them in the eye and you say, Cannonball tonight. That would be sick, man. But those were the daydreams, and daydreams are not realistic, and it's not for me who has no family here to support me, who already has 2 cars, and who's like not exactly have a garage to fix the things when I bought the 3rd one home, if that one didn't blows up in the middle of Nebraska. And there's no faster car than a rental, you all know it. So I went on Avis and I reserved this luxury class in downtown Manhattan, June 15th to June 17th, one way to LAX. And I also prepaid, so there's no wires cost. So fast forward to June, I wrapped up the work, my developer talk video is out, though I look visibly fat in the talk, thanks to the poor sleep and late night drive-thrus to McDonald's. But anyway, the work is done. I flew to New York and I went to the Avis branch on Sunday afternoon. And at the counter, there's a chill uncle type black dude. He asked for my driver license, and I was hoping he didn't ask any questions and just handed me the key. Well, the uncle checked his screen and looked at me and asked, "Where do you plan to drop it?" And I just tried to act normal and said LAX. The uncle didn't raise his eyebrows, he just casually said, "Oh," and nodded. And then he grabbed his walkie-talkie and said to the other end, "I need an H-class car on my way to LAX." The other end was silent. Then I recall someone yell, "What?" from that speaker. The uncle had to say it again, and even louder, "I need an H-class to LAX." I didn't get kicked out, and after a while, the uncle handed me a slip. So when they went out, a young guy asked for the slip, and as soon as he had it, he pointed to the car in front of us. It was a Mazda CX-50. Yeah, a blue-grayish Mazda CX-50. I was baffled, like, yo, this is intermediate SUV class. Where's my luxury sedan? So I asked the young guy that I reserved for luxury class. You don't have any actual luxury class? Because I can clearly see a silver Benz C-Class at the far back. And the guy said, nah, they don't have the inventory. It's Sunday afternoon. This is the only one they had. So yes, Sunday afternoon, Bay Tech Borough, expecting some decent rentals for a road trip. Instead, got a family car. To be honest, this isn't about Mazda. I have friends and colleagues who drive Miatas and cool with Mazda, but to drive 2,800 miles in a 650. Do you know how crazy it is? Like, this isn't a cool guy driving cross-country type of story anymore. This is more of like running away from child support with child seats at the back. And I'm usually a conflict avoidant type, which didn't work out well with ex-girlfriends. But this time I feel the urge to do something. This is the car I'm about to drive hard for days, so I need a proper one. So I exercised my right of being an Avis President Club member, saying that this tier of membership should come with guaranteed recreation. And the guy was like, "Hey, you either take it or you leave." So me and my friend were both hesitating in front of this Mazda. And then the Avis guy, who presumably just wanted to get this car off the lot quickly, started to say things like, "This is a nice car, you know? Look at the paint. The color is great. It suits you nice. It suits you nicely, right?" And I didn't get what he meant initially until I saw my friend, and it all makes sense. He was doing the salesman pitch on my female friend, who happened to wear blue that day. And the guy probably saw we were together and wanted to use her to push me over. That's why he was saying the paint was a nice pair with my friend's outfit. So me and my friend said, "Yeah, the color is great." And we both visibly get more awkward. Because first, we're not couples, and second, this trip will just be me. And I think more critically, even if she was my girlfriend and I'm taking her out for a trip, wouldn't I want an actual luxury class to impress her? Like, what's this family-friendly SUV for? To show that I'm a responsible, dependable household material with a Costco membership card? This just doesn't make sense. But in retrospect, none of this trip made any sense, including myself. So eventually, I accepted. I parked it near a garage near my hotel, and I confirmed with the valet that I will come back tomorrow 6 a.m. And now we're finally getting to the Cannonball. So Monday morning, 6 a.m., check it out, walk to the garage. And as I dragged my luggage to the gate, I realized the valet is nowhere to be found, and the gate is locked. And I'm like, great, the Mazda is inside, and I don't know where can I actually start. So I pressed the alarm, but no one answered. Then I called their support number who said they don't control the facility. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't control the facility? And eventually 20 minutes later, a guy came, and so I was able to drive my Mazda to the Red Bull garage, the starting point of this run. The Red Bull garage sits in this quiet block, just some people walking by. I parked on the street, jumped out, took this photo, and started my Garmin GPS. It was 6:50 Eastern Time, and I started to drive out Manhattan through the Lincoln Tunnel. The first 4 hours are just normal driving. Mask was okay. Overall, it just blends in with the traffic well. This car is certainly not built to impress girls, but also not to impress the highway patrol. So I safely drove to Brookville, Pennsylvania, and my first gas refill at a Love's travel shop. At this point, I drove for 306 miles. I didn't eat, I just grabbed some water and then went down. And then I passed Cleveland, Ohio. At Foreigner, I don't remember many places, but this is the one that sticks to my mind because this is where Progressive's headquarters lies. I couldn't count how many times I mailed my demand letter to some random PO boxes ending with Cleveland, Ohio. So when I saw the sign, I said, oh, this is where the Progressive guys are. And next, Indiana. I bought the e-toll pass from Avis, but clearly it didn't work for Indiana, so I have to get a physical pass at the two booths. At this point, I was continuously driving for like 10 hours, and the sun was low. I started to get tired, so I headed for both gas and food at a travel plaza in Rolling Prairie, in Indiana, which is not too far from Chicago. At this point, I had 726 miles, and so to make sure I can arrive around noon on the third day, I need to at least drive between 1/3 to half of the total distance on the first day. So that puts me beyond Illinois and somewhere in Iowa. So I need to hit the road again. So the sun came down very quickly after I entered Illinois. In Spring Valley, as I was driving, I got a warning sound and something orange on my dash. Thank God it was just, it was not engine light, it was just washer fluid level being low. Still, this is annoying because the windshield was already getting dirtier even with the washer fluid. So naturally, I was a little bit pissed at the Avis people back in New York. Like, you see Cannonball, you see excitement, you see professional endurance drivers, laser jammers, big turbos, and all that fancy technologies. That's what you see if you search Cannonball on YouTube. And here I am, fiddling with the control stick of the windshield washer fluid to get rid of the flies. Of course I'm pissed. And then it's totally dark, and been driving for all day since 6 a.m. I started to drift. Like not drifting to other lanes, but more of like my mind isn't on the driving anymore. At a certain point, the driving has become the muscle memory, an unconscious act. And then I was just staring into the void. And in times like this, you start to think things you otherwise wouldn't think when you are too busy with life. Like, I was checking out my Garmin, which showed I had driven 1,000 miles in just a single day. And I did the math and realized if I kept this pace and drive a straight line around the Earth, I can finish it in 25 days. Obviously, ideally does not go around the Earth, but just think that I'm not an astronaut, I'm not a selected few, just some random guy relying on a sub-30,000 gas vehicle and road system like gas stations, rest stops, and 7-Elevens on the way. I can pretty much travel the entire planet in a month, and that's kind of unheard of 200 years ago. So we humans do something very profound, the facilities that help us to explore the world. But I feel like with the progressive civilization, the spirit of exploration is actually gone. Most of the time, we are just commuting between home and work because we all have a job. Most of the time, we watch news of conflicts breaking out, people fighting each other rather than discovering the outer space. Like, we are not much different from the ancient human beings, aside from now, we ride 300 horsepower cars rather than just fencing a house. and I honestly admire truckers at this point. They are the real guys on I-80. They drive long distance in a big cockpit over the emptiness of the vast land. And what would they think? Do they drift their mind like me, or do they just focus in on the driving, or trash talking over the radio? I feel like truckers who've been always on the road could really have some nice observations and literature born out of the long road. I bet there will be one trucker who's always memoing their personal road advice while carrying someone's random packages. Anyway, those were my thoughts when I was stripped out from my daily work, my normal identity, and was just being a human on a long road. And eventually I passed Iowa City, which is good because that was the original goal for that day. Then I passed Des Moines, at which point I was too exhausted, so I stopped my car in a hotel in Riverdale. I had driven 1,118 miles, with 16 hours of driving and 1 hour of stop. My neck was in pain, and I lay on the bed, and I was still feeling the engine vibration somehow. And I woke up the second day, around 8 a.m. It wasn't a good sleep. There were thunders in the middle of the night, and as you can see, I was already drained as I get into the car.
Alright, so... Alright, so this is... Okay, so... This is day 2 of my Cannonball. And right now we are in Urbandale in Iowa, and tonight's goal is Salt Lake City or Las Vegas if we are lucky.
So right, the goal of the second day is Salt Lake City or Las Vegas, which to be honest, neither is easy to hit. It will take another 1,100, 1,400 miles, but I guess we have no excuse to fail this far in the trip. Well, aside from that goddamn windshield fluid warning that pops up as soon as I started the car, I drove on I-80 again for another 3 hours, passing some burnt turbines and a crashed car. And eventually at Kearney, Nebraska, I stopped at a gas station and went into the convenience store, bought a big bottle of windshield fluid, and started pouring it into the engine bay in front of the store. This is very, very different from what I imagined myself on the Cannonball. Actually driving a comfort sedan with no maintenance required, cruising on highways, and ordering granny-sized Starbucks at the drive-thrus. But here we are. Then driving off I-80 to I-76, I started heading for Denver. The I-76 was a long, straight desert road, kind of like the scene you would see in Breaking Bad. Although I would be honest, I never have seen one season of that, so take that as a grain of salt. I stopped at Kingsburg, Colorado, right before Denver, and I filled another gas, and it was 4 p.m. So I have been driving for 8 hours with only 634 miles, roughly only half of what I need on the second day. So I need to either pick Salt Lake City or Las Vegas, and they have different routes. The route to Salt Lake City through I-80 is shorter, safer, but more boring. And it also means I need to drive more to get to Las Vegas on the third day. And if I were to hit Las Vegas directly, I need to take I-70 and I-15. And I heard there were road work and closures. Given the road work, I had the impression that I-70 would be something like this car line in Southern Bay Area, where it's a narrow, low visibility, unpaved, less crowded road, which is not exactly what you want to drive through the night. But I guess I have no choice if I want to realistically finish my Cannonball and return my car on time. And so, I hit Denver through I-70 and then get to Utah. And I could feel the Mazda struggling as the elevation rises. I kicked on the pedal and for the first half, you hardly feel anything. And then you press harder, then you hear the engine roaring, and the power was delivered in a delayed manner. And if you release the pedal one bit, the power drops instantly, like the Mazda was suffocating. But to my surprise, I-70 wasn't the dark back alleyway I imagined. It's a proper interstate, with wide lanes, good views of mountains and snows. And so I thoroughly enjoyed this part, riding a sophisticated New York plate Mazda among big local pickup trucks, and I also excessively trashed the brakes in the downhill section. I will give this part a 7 out of 10. And after some mountain decay, I arrived to the plains in conjunction between Colorado and Utah. Las Vegas is still far, but at least I have a nice sunset in front of me. It was truly spectacular, and I guess I wouldn't be able to see it unless I had this specific route with specific timing. And I guess if nothing goes wrong in my life, this could be simultaneously the first time, yeah, the last time I saw such a good sunset on I-70. Because why otherwise would I come back to here? I feel like this is how life works. Like, if I wouldn't be around in a parking lot, if I wouldn't sue that guy, if I wouldn't broke up, if I wasn't grinding for my day job and getting fat, I wouldn't have this idea of Cannonball, and I wouldn't have this moment of catching a sunset in a rental Mazda. This is where my mind started to drift again. I saw the empty straight road, a single truck far from me ahead, the sky was dim, and it feels like something in an ivy land. Like you are staring at a distant object, except it isn't a house or a room. And then the sky went completely dark. I drove another 100 miles. I stopped at Thompson Springs in Utah for gas again. I guess stops in Utah are like that. It's just a gas station, a convenience store, a big billboard showing the gas price, and some truckers in the parking area. Nothing more, no hotels, no food chains, just a lonely stop in the middle of nowhere. But as I stepped out to fill gas, I found a trailer house not far from the gas station. I don't know who lives there or what they do for a living, but the light in that house was on. So that's someone's life. I quickly took off this photo, and I'm glad I got the moon and the trash can in the same frame. So this is 10 p.m. and with some help of Red Bull and some chocolates, and I started to drive again. I mean, what choice do I have? Parking my Mazda next to the big 18 wheels trucks and sleep in that stop? Now, like, I have to drive to somewhere with more life, and the nearest city is 300 miles away. I wouldn't go into details of how I actually drove across Utah, but in short, it was dark, lonely, and it made me a little bit paranoid. I passed some cars, some unbeatably bigger cars without bumpers, some nice cars, but it seems everyone is driving alone from what I can see from the cockpit. And I bet they see me, and they are worried if I'm a serial killer too. I have a New York plate. I came from behind, and then I passed them with all the dirt on the windshield. So eventually I stopped at Mesquite at 1:37 a.m. Right after I crossed the border to Nevada. And I said, that's it for today. It's all far from Las Vegas. I had driven 19 hours and 1,338 miles in the second day. And it would just be another 315 miles until I hit Los Angeles. And boy, was I wrong about the 350 miles for the third day. But we will get to that later. I first woke up at around 6:30. I used the entire rest of the worship food. I tossed the bottle to the back seat and I started driving again. The plate is trash, the brake is also feels weak. I wouldn't say the Mazda was in a good shape. The same way, I wouldn't say I was in a good shape.
Hey, oh, should put my headphone. So currently it's 7:40 in Pacific time. It's the third day. It's a Wednesday, and what I'm going to say, like, we are in this town called sorry, let me.
The fact that I forgot the name of the town I stayed means I was also degrading from this Cannonball. And back to the final 250 miles. It wasn't exactly an easy drive, even though I'm back to my familiar West Coast driving pattern. And by that I mean, first I have to get through Las Vegas, which where the I-15 just had a car fire and everyone was stuck in their lanes for an hour straight. And after that, the I-15 was just a 4-lane highway where everybody tries to merge back and forth to get ahead. But there will be guys driving in black Cadillac Escalade or a Nissan Altima, splitting out, trying to get ahead and then merging in. This could be a skill issue of me or me not fully understanding the rules, so don't roast me on that. And then I finally got into LA. It's even more chaotic. 18 wheels driving in the second left lane, more lane cutting, more sudden brakes, Teslas launching like a missile for no reason, Civics doing the loud exhaust. Everyone was crazy, me included, because I'm driving a New York like Mazda with big brakes and I don't care anymore. I just try to stay near the exit lane so that I'll be able to exit rather than being blocked by those big ass trucks. And normally, this would be the time when I join such highly competitive driving. You know, California drivers being California drivers. But I was weirdly peaceful enough to just stay in that lane. I feel like I have nothing to prove to those Teslas and Civics. I already drove 2,800 miles to come here, and I bet no one on the road drove that much in 3 days. So weirdly, there's no ego in me anymore, and it's truly interesting how the narrative can shift. Like, I remember my first car was a Nissan Sentra. It was not like a bad car at all. I took good care of it and enjoyed driving it a lot. But there will be times when I kind of worry if I should upgrade, like my girlfriend at the time drove a better car. And ego, you know. And a few years later, I was actually driving an old Ford Expedition that I bought for only $5,700 and $500, while my Cayman was in the repair shop due to it wrong. And I was perfectly fine in the Cupertino traffic, fully of shiny cars. Because I know I have the other car, and actually Expedition was more useful and made more sense in some cases. So I guess it's the same way that now I log 2,800 miles, I don't feel the need to prove that I'm a better driver. And now, and then I drove off the highway to Redondo Beach area. It's already 2 p.m. My car return window is closing, and I also have a flight to catch. And so I was waiting in front of this traffic light, and I was calculating if I should make it. The gas is low, it's nearly zero, but it should be enough to go from Portofino Inn to LAX car return. I can just glide it on the city roads. The lights went green, I cycled drive, I made some turns to the downhill, and I can see the sea already in a cloudy backdrop. So driving a bit more, I saw the signs, Portofino Inn, and a sign for conference parking or check-ins. I turned into conference parking, just a normal parking lot. Seagulls standing on top of the building, palm trees, some cars. I parked and I stepped out and started to look around. There are not a lot of people there. Only 2 guys driving a golf cart carrying some stuff. They might be the employees of the inn. They saw me, but they didn't stop and they drove away. I wanted to wave to them and say, hey, can you take me a photo of my car with me in front of this sign? But I didn't. The parking lot was like it went quiet again, and I guess that's how the inn should be. It's not some car meet places for Cannonball destination. There's no announcement, no car guys checking on the plate and saying, oh, you're from New York. No chit chat, just me alone in this parking lot. So I guess that's a little bit anticlimax. I sure feel the same way, but at least I did it. 42 hours of driving, 17 hours of stop. That makes it in total 59 hours for 2,826 miles from New York to Los Angeles. So my Garmin, not that I need to prove it, the people around me are honestly not interested in checking what I'm doing too, or they care, but they don't understand why I need to do it. Besides, I didn't finish it in 30 hours. I only did a slow, legal Cannonball. So if this is not about proving I did a Cannonball, then what is this about? The dating profile? Like me uploading a picture of me standing in front of a heavily abused Mazda smiling. Like what kind of a girl would get this reference? But still, as I'm recording here at home in Bay Area, as I returned the car at LAX, I went to Hawaii for a real vacation. I think I will put that line in my Tinder profile. It might work as a conversation starter, it might not. But hey, I left some marks. I have many medals on me. The software engineer in the Ford company, the persistent guy who sends demand letters to progressive, the alien worker who shouldn't do anything crazy in this country. And now, I can call myself something of a Cannonball runner. And I will remember my dude in the X company in New York City. And I think that's what this is about.